Hello and welcome to the second video in our series for Endpoint Manager. In this video, Ali, our administrator, is going to show you how to enroll a machine into Intune using Endpoint Manager, and then also configuring a profile configuration on top of the devices so you can control them. Now, if you are looking at this video and it's too advanced for you, then my recommendation is that in JSS we have MD 100 course and MD 101 course. These two courses are important because in this we are talking about this feature only. We're not talking about how things are happening. So if you are confused with how these things are getting connected, then that means you're lacking the skills for knowing what is Active Directory, group policy, Azure Active Directory, and how things move to the cloud. That is where you're going to have problem then. So just a quick reminder, if you're watching this video and you feel like this is a little too much for you, then in JSS we have MD 100 and MD 101. And if you feel things are extremely hard for you, this means that you need to start our program, which actually go from a very basic to advanced then. Now I'm going to give this to Ali and he's going to get into this Endpoint Manager, and the first thing he's going to show you is how to add a device into Endpoint Manager. So let's go ahead and Ali will take over now.
This is the Windows 10 machine, and I'm going to right click to the start, and there on the start menu I'm going to launch the settings, and here let me click to the accounts and go to the Access Worker School, and there I will click to the connect, and it's gonna open this whole Microsoft dialog box, and here you have the option join this device to Azure Active Directory. So we're going to this one, we're going to select this one, and here we're going to use the same account on which we assign both of the licenses, the enterprise and the Office 365. And now it's time for test. So gssdmv2 dot on Microsoft.com, and moving ahead, now here you can see that in a while you'll find the message that gonna tell you that this machine, this account has successfully joined the Azure environment. And there you go. When you find this message, let's click to join and wait for the other screen from the output from the machine. So let's click to done and click here, and once you join this Azure environment, you're gonna find this detail here. We're on Access Worker School. So when you find this one, that tells that your machine is a part of Azure environment, and it also provides you the tenant name of your Azure cloud. So let's click here and go to info, and if you further explore this one, so you're gonna find this sync button, and it works like the same. You have this GP update /force. It sync the policies, the current status of this account, it syncs the membership of the group, it syncs the rights. So this sync button give you a lot and just make you connected on the real time with your cloud. And when you have any policy, if your administrator implemented new policies and set up some restriction for your account for the group whom you are member of, so you're gonna find all those restriction policies profiles here. So let's click to sync this account with the current and real status of the group that you are part of, and let's wait for this whole sync process because it may take few minutes to complete this syncing process. So now the sync process is completed, so let's close this setting panel and let's type here cert lm.msc, and let's open this console, and here it required confirmation to open, and here these certificates will tell you that whether you have this Intune auto enrollment. So let's expand this personal and then click to the certificate, and there you go. You have 3 certificates at the time this Microsoft Intune MDM device, the MS organization access, and the P2P, that actually telling you that you are automatically enrolled to the Microsoft Intune, and all the configurations we showed you that works simply and successfully. Now let's confirm the device joining to the Azure. So here we're gonna type Windows PowerShell, and there you go. All right, so let's run it as the administrator, and the command is simple and easy to execute, and you can easily, and anyone can easily remember that command and execute when needed. And this is what dscmd dsregcmd /status, enter, and there you go. Is the device joined? Yes. And here you will find the status of the device, and if you scroll up you will find these details, the tenant details, the JSSD MV1, and these are the links that are telling you that you are successfully joined. And you'll find your own object ID here once you join, and here in the under the device status you have Azure AD joined, that is yes. And specifically, once you join the tenant, you're gonna find these links, these details like that, as you are seeing right now, these 3-1 specifically. So that telling you that you are successfully joined, and also you have what, the automatic enrollment to the Intune. So we are totally sure and totally validated the whole process, the whole configuration, and that is right now working successfully. So now let's log into that specific account that we used to join this machine to the Azure. So simply do what? Just right click to sign out from your local account, and then double click here and go to the other user and type here JSS P2S and then dmv2 on Microsoft.com, and here's a password that you set for this account, and then press enter, and there you go. It is collecting the details, creating the new profile for the first time, for the first use, and there you go. Hi, that actually the symbol, the notification that tells you that you are too near to log in, and it is preparing things for the first time. And there you go, it is asking for the security. So let's proceed with the policy, with the way it authenticates and secure its users. So there you go, there's a process you need to finish for login first time, and there you go. On the background you can see our JSS logo, our customization that we did for our Azure environment, and it's up to you. You can configure as you like and what your organization needs. It's up to you. And now here's, you need to go through this process to authenticate yourself, because you're about to using the Azure account in your local machine. That's why it needs your basic details to validate this whole login process. So here I'm going to use my number, and then I will proceed. So, and once you provide your mobile number, then it requires some PIN. So I'm going to use the PIN that I always use in my accounts, and the best thing is that you cannot see what I type. Now here it is preparing for the first login, for the first time use of the Azure account within your local machine, and there you go, you're successfully logged in to the Azure tenant. And now it's time to validate and verify the devices on the endpoint.azure. So here we need to log into this link, endpoint.microsoft.com, and here let's navigate to the devices. And here's, once you click to the devices, you will, once you start seeing the output in the middle, then take your decision and then click. So here, let's wait for the total output, and there you go. You will find this whole screen, and now then click to the, if you want to verify, so you're gonna find the Intune enrolled devices, and there you go. You have 2 right now. And if you want to see that which 2 devices are automatic enrollment based devices, so you're gonna find these 2 ones. So one, the help desk one that I did before, was not done successfully. That was some other project, some other machine. So this is the right machine, the machine which we used during this whole lab, and it is compliant. So that tells that you are successfully enrolled in the Intune, automatically enrolled in the Intune, and all our configuration, all our steps that we showed you clearly, discuss each and every step in the previous video, in the previous project. So all work and all looks good here. Now this time we're going to verify each and everything on the Azure Portal. So let's click to the Azure Active Directory, and this is like Azure Active Directory.portal.azure.com, and here we're going to do the same. Click to the devices because it's related to the devices, and once you click here on the devices, you're going to find the output in the middle pane, and that will tell you that whether this machine has this automatic enrollment. And here you can see this is the machine that we used during this lab, and here on the join type, it is what this Azure AD join, and here you can see under the MDM it says the Microsoft Intune and the compliant, and that's what we want to show you, that's what we want to validate. And now in this video we're going to show you how to create and apply configuration profile. And what are these? Because while we start configuring these profiles, so you will understand what are these configuration profile and what sort of use of it, and why we implement those profiles in our environment to do a little different kind of management. And if I say that it's kind of similar with the group policy thing, because in the group policy, you restrict your employees, you customize their desktop, their experience with their desktop machines, with their workstation. So we're going to do the same thing by using the Endpoint Manager and its consoles, its configuration menus to achieve that. So let's move to the JSS machine. Now here we have the Windows 10 machine, and first we're going to make sure the settings that are already configured, and we need to see the defaults, and then we're going to mark all those areas, all those files, all those accesses that we want to revoke, we want to disable for our regular user to use that and just waste the resources of the organization, just for the good practice. So let's right click here on the start charm and select the settings option from here under the task manager, and here on the settings you have so many folders and options here, but here you can see in the personalization where you have the backgrounds, lock screen, colors, and mostly you're going to find in the environment, in the companies, in the organization, they sometimes recommend the wallpaper policy. They restrict their user to change their wallpaper, their themes, and sometimes they hide these gaming options and other options that are not the part of the professional and the corporate culture. So here you already seen that we have this gaming option here, and if you scroll down and see the privacy option, if you click here, so you're going to find that there are so many options that are still available, and user have the power, have the access to turn on and turn off those options, like the mic options, the cameras. So you want to revoke those accesses from the user because you're making a corporate based workstation that is being managed by your administrators, by the Endpoint Manager with the Azure Cloud. So here we already reviewed those settings, and here you still have this gaming thing. And now if you click to the personalization, so you're going to find the wallpaper option is still available, the background, color, themes, font, taskbar, And if you click to the start here on the left under the personalization, so you're going to find that show recently added apps, show the most used app. All options are available to turn on and turn off, and that's not corporate friendly environment where you allow your user to customize those settings, to change those settings. So we are reviewing, because in this video, in the coming moments, we're going to create a configuration profile where we're going to disable all these options for our end user. So in the same way, if you click to back and return on the first screen and go to the update and security, so you're gonna find there are update settings that are available to configure, to change, and that's not recommended. And if you go to the Windows security, so still you have these options. And if you click to the virus and threat protection, so you will find that the user have still access to turn on and turn off those settings and add exclusions. And this is not this is not any corporate sector don't require, and they didn't follow this way for their corporate resources. In the same way, if you go to the manage settings, so you're going to find that there are still options available to configure, to customize. And here you can see there's no exclusion for this virus policies. So might be some files will be blocked, or might be some files will have the access to attack, to penetrate within your corporate network. So this is what we did. We reviewed the default settings, and now we're going to move to the Endpoint Manager to configure a profile, and we will look closely and we will create this profile in a more focused way, and we will keep in mind that what sort of settings that are allowed for the user to customize, and the same way what settings that shouldn't be allowed for the end user to configure, to change. Now, as you have seen in the previous video that we showed you how to join to the Azure Active Directory and how to become the part of the Microsoft Endpoint, Microsoft Intune. So you have seen and how to log in with the endpoint, with the Azure account within your local machine. And here's time to verify whether this device has joined or not. So what you need to do is to click to the accounts, and here go to the Access Worker School. And if you find that connected to JSS DMV, and it might be probably your tenant ID here, so this is ours. And if you find that thing here, so that tells you, that confirms you, that assures you that you are the part of the Azure Active Directory. Now it's time to move to where? The Azure Portal to configure things. So let's move to the Azure Portal. So after confirmation, we're going to move to where? To the portal.endpoint.com. So the right address, the web address to access that portal is the endpoint. So after, make sure that all the default settings are not the corporate friendly. So it's time to configure the restriction and the profile, and then we're going to implement that. So before that, we need to move to the endpoint.microsoft.com to directly manage the endpoint. And this machine is already the part of the endpoint. So let's click to the browser. So there you go, endpoint.microsoft.com, and this is the Endpoint Manager Admin Center. And here on this Admin Center, we can configure, we can manage all the machines that are the part of the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Now here, what we're going to do, we're going to click to the devices, and here, once you select the devices on the left, it will start displaying all these options for you. So now here under the overview, scroll down and click to the configuration profiles. And once you click here, if you already have one, you will find that specific profile here, but we don't have. So let's click to create a profile. And once you click here, so you're gonna find a flyout on the right, and that will asking you with the platform. So we're going to select Windows 10 or later, and then on the type, profile type would be. So click here, and the Microsoft Endpoint Manager already has some templates for you, template names. So we're going to go with the device restrictions and click to create. And there you go, the device restriction profile is on its way for configuration, for deployment. So here we're going to name it as standard profile. And then let's fill this basic restrictions. Now here the platform is already selected and the profile type is already mentioned there. So let's click next and move ahead. Now here on the configuration settings, so this is the important part of this configuration profile thing, because here you need to select the options, you need to select the accesses that you want to revoke, you need to disable all those features here. You need to be more focused and more clear at this moment. So first we're going to expand the control panel and settings, and once you expand it, so you're going to find few more options. But here against the gaming, we're going to toggle it to block, and against privacy we're going to block privacy and gaming. Then now scroll down here and let's find the start from the settings. So here you're gonna find the start here. There you go, the start is there. So expand the start and just block the most used app, the recently used app. Now here it just opened some other settings, and now here we're going to block the most used app, the recently added apps, and the one recently open items in the jump list. So we block all these three. Now let's scroll down and expand the Microsoft Defender antivirus. And here let's scroll down on the Microsoft Defender antivirus. And if you keep scrolling down, so you will find some other settings and things that you can block for the user to access, or you can make your choice and it will show like it's managed from the administrator, by the administrator. So here, and there you go, the Microsoft Defender antivirus exclusion. So let's expand it again, and here in the file and folders, let's type a specific file here that shouldn't be blocked. So we're going to type this C:dev projects, because this is going to be the main folder for the user, for the end user. And here under processes, type the devbuild.exe. We're not going to filter this specific file for the user. And once it's done, click next, and you're about to click 3 times next to reach to where? To review and create. And once you get there, let's click to create, and it will start creating and compiling all the restriction, all the profile nature that you customize for your corporate users, for your workstation. And once it's done, then you will see the standard profile, and there you go, this is the status. And here it is not applied to any device yet, and there's a status. So here you can see assign a profile to at least one group, and click properties and then assignment. So it's simple way to assign to a group, but the thing you need to focus, you need to understand that you should be more correct and more meaningful while defining those restrictions for your end user, your corporate end user. Now we're going to create a group on which we're going to assign this profile. So click to the group on the left under favorites, and here we're going to name the group first, and then we will set its properties and how it will get the users. So click to the new group, and there you go, the group type would be security, and in the group description, the group name would be test group, test G, and the group description is a JSS test group. Now here in the membership tab, we're going to go with the assign and then click to create. So there you go, the group is created successfully. Now let's click to the group and we're going to assign a member in that group. So click to the members and then select add member, and here I'm going to select my account that is login in my local JSS machine, and there you go, Ali, this account is now the member of this test G. Now in addition, I'm going to show you how you can create dynamic groups, because this is an interesting thing that you'll find in the Microsoft Endpoint Manager and in Azure environment as well, that you can create what the dynamic groups, and dynamic groups are like what nature that they can easily get the member. Let's say for example, if you set some parameters, set some criteria, and if it's match with that group configuration, so it will automatically provide the membership of that group to that specific machine. So here in the group type, it's going to be security. The group name would be test G2, and this is what the JSS test group. And the membership type, we're going to set the dynamic device. So if you set it to the dynamic user, so it needs to match the criteria with the user properties that you define while creating the user. So here we're going to select the dynamic device. So whatever the policy you will define for the user will, for the device, that will automatically detect that specific device and make the member of the group, make the device the member of the group. Now here you can add these criteria and you can define the properties and the dynamic membership rules. If those rules met, the device will become the member of this group. So let's define these rules. And if you here click to the properties, so you will find the templates created by the Endpoint Manager, and they offer those templates for your ease. And so here you select the property of the device OS type, the operating system type, and the operator we're going to select, which is different. So we're going to select equals. So the device OS type equals to what? Windows 10. So that's what the value that it will create a filter while any new device become the member of the Endpoint Manager. So this filter working what way, that it will start detecting that device OS, and if this rule, if this property match, if this property meet with the device description or its operating system, then it will make the device the member of that specific group. So here you can use another operator, which is contain. You can use equals or contain. So device must contain what? The Windows 10 operating system to have the membership of that group. So click to add expression, and there you go. The expression is added here. So this is your single rule for the group membership. And here you can see that we said what the membership type is, the dynamic device-based membership. Now the two groups are created, and with this whole endpoint thing, we show you how to create these two different and really interesting group here in the Microsoft Endpoint Manager. Now it's time to assign the configuration profile to the group, because we already created two groups. So we're going to redirect to the devices, and here if you click to devices, you have the configuration profile option on the left, and once you click here, you're going to find the standard profile that you created earlier, and here you need to assign the profile. So go to the properties of that profile, and here you will find nothing. So the assignment, click edit, and when you click edit, it will show you the options. So we're going to add the group. We're not going to add all user or all devices. And scroll down and find out our first group, the group where we add our Ali account that we are using here in the local JSS machine, and we already log in with that account. So the group test G is added in is now assigned that profile. So click to review and save, and then proceed. We're not going to exclude any group. And there you go, the profile is saved, and this whole configuration profile is being applied to that group. So all the machines, all the devices that are the part of that group will have that restriction, and we are getting closer for validation, for verification. Now let's move back to the settings of the device. So let's first sign out from this session, because we need to log in with the Ali account. So let's sign out from here, and we are about to use our Ali account to log in this machine. So here I'm going to type Ali at jssdmv2 on microsoft.com. Seems I'm in a hurry. No. And here the password, enter, and here it is logging us to the Ali account, the account we have on the Microsoft endpoint. That the same account is on the Azure. And here right click on the start, and let's see that whether it receives all the new settings, all the new restriction. And you know, in the Windows server environment, you have the GP update based type of command that you run with some arguments like /force, and it will sync the new object policies from the Windows server, from the Active Directory, from the group policy. But here in the cloud environment, you need to know that here, if you click to the accounts and go to Access Workers Tool, so you're going to find that this device is a part of the Azure cloud. So here you need to do what? So click here once you start seeing this option, and go to the info, and any new restriction will start visible here. So let's do what? That we're going to click to sync device, and the areas managed by JSSDMV1 will start visible here once the sync completed. So we're going to wait for this sync process. So after you find that it shows the last attempted sync, so let's scroll up and check whether some policies are applied. And sometimes if you don't find the policy assignments, so you can sign out your session and then log on again. And now I guess let's check the setting again, whether it applied or required some more logout. So here let's scroll down, and now we are not seeing the gaming option here. And in the same way, if we go to the privacy, so there are other options that we showed you in the beginning of the video, which are not visible here. So that's good, that's what we want. So in the same way, if you go to the update and security, so you're going to find the exclusions that you add will listed here, and you will find those exclusion here. So in this way, you can configure profiles and restrict your endpoints, your end user, for certain application, for certain features, for certain options, and you stop them for customizing their desktops, their workstation, and you can maintain the corporate culture, corporate environment in those ways. So that's it for this video, and I hope you learn and you cover this whole stuff that's really exciting and most needful these days. So like I said in each and every video, to learn real world IT skill, log on to the jobskillshare.org. Thanks for watching.